following slides may be triggering.
And excuse us for any mispronunciation. We'll try our best.
Our project is Global Female Genital Mutilation, also known as FGM. What is FGM? Female genital mutilation, commonly addressed as female circumcision, is a ritual practice that can be found globally, however, commonly in areas such as Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The practice usually involves the cutting of an external part of the female genitalia. It is important to note that this procedure is done without a medical purpose. Above is the World Health Organization's definition of FGM, and to the right is a list of side effects.
And there are also different types, and it's also important to note that the removal of the clitoris, which has the sole function of female pleasure, is also removed, therefore signifying the kind of purpose behind FGM. So FGM is prevalent in many places all around the world. And like Daria said, Africa, the Middle East, and Asia is where it's most prevalent. And in Western countries, immigrants from nations where FGM is a part of tradition, those people end up also, some of those people also end up upholding their traditions and practices through Western countries. So Kenya is the leading country in Northern and Eastern Africa in terms of eradicating FGM, even though there are still some rural tribes that participate in FGM, and they'll disguise girls as boys in order to disguise it as male circumcision when it's really FGM. And the Muslim Bohra community in India is the most prominent community where FGM is practiced, and India has not outlawed this, even though there has been a lawsuit filed by anti-female genital mutilation activists.
It's important to note that the UN considers the FGM a human rights violation due to the fact that it can cause physical harm to women and reflects inequality between men and women and discrimination against women. It also is considered a violation of children's rights due to the fact that it's almost always carried out in minors. FGM can also result in death. The following is a statement released by the UN that was signed by the director of the WHO, among many others, stating that this was a violation of human rights.
There are a lot of people that are also still pro-female genital mutilation, and the Bohra community, as I once said, they rally behind the fact that it's their religious right and freedom to participate in FGM, and FGM is called KATS, which translates directly to female circumcision, in opposed to the Western female genital mutilation. And they also refer to the clitoris as the haram ki boti, which translates to source of sin or unwanted skin, therefore showing its feelings towards the female anatomy. And a Kenyan doctor by the name of Dr. Tatu Kamu says that FGM, since it's been moved underground, is actually more dangerous, since untrained professionals are the ones that will be performing this. And if it was not illegal, then medical professionals can perform FGM. And the biggest thing is that FGM is different than female circumcision.
Argument, which is that she has the right to have her daughters undergo this practice by showing her children they are no different than anyone else's, and therefore female circumcision can't be that negatively impactful since her daughters have grown up quote unquote perfectly. The line underlined in green, as a mother I can never do anything to harm them, creates a more intimate dynamic with the audience, which is women who are opposed or unsure of FGM, and the speaker, since mothers around the world, whether they support FGM or female circumcision, whether even they know what it is, can understand the importance and value of protecting their own children. This calls to the audience's primal and instinctive sense of motherhood, which sets Arwa Sohagan Purwala as reliable due to the fact that she, as a mother, would not do harm to her children. This therefore makes FGM or female circumcision come across as safe due to the fact that she's presenting herself as a mother who would not put her children at risk.
And the hashtag female circumcision is not female genital mutilation. Mutilation kind of implies something that's violent, and this woman and many of the Bohra women consider it female circumcision to relate it back to male circumcision, which in Western cultures is considered okay. So therefore she's also saying that female circumcision is okay.
The next is a tweet from the UN Women on the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. It's important to note that the reason that the UN decided to tweet this from their UN Women account is so they can set up a reliability and a trust between the audience and the speaker. This is because women are the prime subjects of FGM, and therefore by tweeting this in UN Women, they're relating themselves to the subjects and to those who are directly impacted. The direct audience is going to be this younger generation of Generation Z and millennials, due to the fact that it was a GIF and used on social media, Twitter, and used hashtags such as hashtag #EndFGM, which relates to this younger generation who uses more of these types of media, which brings it back to their argument that FGM is a violation of human rights, due to the fact that we see in this picture that the flower, which represents female sexuality and female genitals, and the knife going directly through it, which is harming these women, which brings this tone is more lighthearted due to the fact that it is a GIF and you can see the flower bouncing back. And that brings it back to appeal to their audience, which is a younger generation. However, their indirect audience who believe FGM is not harmful can be shown through the fact that this is still somewhat of a disturbing image. The fact that the knife is directly going through the flower and directly harming the flower, which brings it back to the purpose, which is they want to bring attention by using this GIF as something lighthearted to grab both of their different audiences' attention on the International Day of Zero Tolerance for FGM, which is a day that brings awareness to FGM and hope for an end to it. Right, the next is a segment from a Kenyan doctor. She says women who took their daughters for circumcision were not there to destroy them and were also not thrown away after him. By using these three forms of diction together and showing she's creating a rebuttal to her direct audience of people who are trying to get rid of female circumcision and mark it as a human rights violation. She is creating this resentful tone against those people to rebuttal them and show them that her argument that the word circumcision should be used instead of mutilation, which is where she goes into her next part, where she says the word mutilation in our context suggests it's malicious and that it's damaging to females and it's very wrong. By arguing the differentiation of the words circumcision vs mutilation, she is trying to rebrand this procedure. She is trying to say that her purpose, which is that she wants to give female circumcision a better image so it's more encouraged instead of looked down upon.
And then we have the story of a Sudanese woman, and we didn't want to analyze this for strategies or using rhetorical devices in order for a certain purpose, because I think the sole purpose is to have her story heard, and we would appreciate it if you guys would take a moment to read her story. You could pause the video right now, and Daria, if you want to say anything more about this.
Nope, that's all.
Okay. So there's a lot.
Okay, so the idea that women are being held back sexually to ensure that they physically will not be able to lose their virginities or are mutilated in such a way where they are missing an important biological part, women's sexualities are being held back by the patriarchy. We see this in a smaller scale levels like virginity in America, and especially among teenagers and female teenagers, and in large scales like female genital mutilation. Men in society continue to oppress women's sexuality and imprint them into their own culture.
So virginity test in Indonesia requires women that are entering the police force or military to go under a test where fingers are inserted into their vaginal canal to see if they are indeed virgins, and this kind of relates back to the patriarchy in the sense that women need to remain pure, and the husband stitch also kind of reinforces this idea, and there's an image right here of a woman that had the husband stitch done to her without her knowing, and the dowries in India sometimes, which has been canceled, but which has been prohibited but still occurs, that still infanticide, sorry, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but girls in their infancy might be killed due to the family's lack of resources and not wanting to pay the dowry, and just double standards in the U.S. When a guy has a lot of sexual intercourse, he's called the man. When a girl has a lot of sexual intercourse, she's called a slut, and if she doesn't have it at all, she's called a prude. And then there are some questions that we can ask. Does cultural norms and traditions, does this justify any sort of misogyny or oppression to any kind or degree? We would really like to know what you guys think and what kind of thoughts you guys have about this. Yeah, so thank you so much. Bye.
Bibliography.
Oh, sorry, we have the bibliography as well. Thank you.